If you're just coming in, welcome, 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 welcome. About to watch some interesting video regarding aboriginals and maori culture. Mm, 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 mm.
The executed carvings in the choir being asked. Alright. Alright, so shout out to everybody that's gonna watch this later on. If you're in here right now, what's good? I was just searching online and I was sleeping. I couldn't sleep. I woke up. I'm like, you know what? Let me find some cultural things to watch. So came up with this. I found this. I'm like, you know what? Seems pretty cool. So I'm about to. I wanted to make a video out of it, but I was like, yeah, I'll just live stream it. So with that being said, let's get into the video.
Aborigines are indigenous people in Australia. Australian Aborigines moved from somewhere in Asia at least 30,000 years ago. Although they have groups around 500 to 600 distinct groups, Aboriginal people possess some unifying links. Among these are strong spiritual beliefs that tie them to the land, a tribal culture of storytelling and art, and, like other indigenous populations, a difficult colonial history. Since the European invasion of Australia in 1788, the Aboriginal people have been oppressed into a world unnatural to their existence for thousands of years. First came the influx of the strangers who carried with them diseases, which decimated the immediate population of the Sydney tribes. It is estimated that over 750,000 Aboriginal people inhabited the island continent in
750,000. Wow. What's good, Joseph, man? Kia ora, man. Hey, bro. We're watching Aboriginal versus the Maori. So I just wanted to see if there's a common denominator here
because I feel like you guys share a lot of history together, right? I may be wrong, but what I like finding out is the common link between everybody, other than we're just humans. Because it has to come from somewhere. It had to have started from somewhere. A lot of people say Africa and stuff of that manner, which I completely understand because hey, look at the skin tone. But I really feel like there's there was people here before Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like there was more. You know what I mean? Because our everybody's cultures may to the blind eye may look different, but when I look at it, if it and when I listen to the music and when I listen to how they feel and how they communicate with each other, it seems like they're all the same. We're all trying to get the same kind of message out, but we're just so distant from each other. So I just wanted to take time and watch something like this with you guys.
1788, the colonists were led to believe that the land was terra nullius, which Lieutenant James Cook declared Australia to be in 1770 during his voyage around the coast of Australia. The name Maori originally meant the local people or the original people. Maori was a word which signified local or original, as opposed to the new arrivals, white European settlers. Early settlement. Ancestors of Maori arrived on canoes from Pacific Islands before 1300 AD. Settling first on the coast, they hunted seals and mouse. Then they also began to grow food, and some moved to the forest. They lived in small tribal groups with a rich culture of spoken stories and strong traditions of warfare.
See, when I think about the Maori, I think so much of like in Africa when they say about well no, cuz I'm Jamaican. Okay, so when I think about Maori and the original people, I look back in Jamaica and I look at the Maroons, right? The Maroons are people who lived off the land, right? You know what I mean? And they fought off the English, the British, and made their own way. You know what I'm saying? Just how the Maori people did, and the Aboriginal people did, and many other cultures. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird in a sense, yeah. But I really feel like everybody's distant brothers and sisters, and they just don't realize it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of difficult to actually uh, put everything together. But I really feel as if like you had like a group of people who could actually put all this together. You know what I mean? You'll see that really there's no difference. The NZ War stories of Tainu. I'll definitely give it a watch, bro. And you know what? I might watch it on here live with you guys as well. I'm gonna start doing a lot more live streams, so you guys get ready to see this pretty face a lot more. um, yeah, but let me keep on with the video.
Their ancestors and the gods of the natural world were very important. Europeans arrived. The arrival of Europeans from the early 1800s had a major effect on these early communities. Among the newcomers were missionaries, and many Maori became Christians. They learned to read and began trading, especially in pigs and potatoes. In 18
I don't know if you guys caught that. Let me run that back. See, this is what I think. You know, what I mean, the destruction of a culture begins when they start learning. I'm sorry to say it, when they start learning a different religion and they're not practicing their true religion.
had a major effect on these early communities. Among the newcomers were missionaries, and many Maori became Christians.
See, that's right there, the outlier. The same thing that happened in Africa. You know what I mean? And the same thing that happened to a lot of these different cultures, bro. Really, the only outstanding culture that I see right now that really hasn't been touched right now is the people in the Amazon, that rainforest, the Amazon rainforest. And, it's crazy. Once missionaries get around and they start teaching about Christianity, it's crazy to believe it, but I mean, every time you hear these stories, it's always the same outlier. You know what I mean? And I'm not taking away anybody's religion, because it's very important for people to have their religion. But it's like, how do you explain where you come from? Everybody understands where that comes from, bro. How do you explain where you come from?
They learned to read and began trading, especially in pigs and potatoes. In 1840, the Treaty of Waitangi established British law and government, but it could not prevent warfare in the 1840s and 1860s as Maoris sought to defend their lands and local authority. After the wars, Maori lost land through confiscations and sale, mostly to British settlers.
In 1840, New Zealand Maori were given rights as British subjects in their lands, and other property rights were recognized with the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi. Until a High Court decision in 1992, Australian Aboriginals were afforded no land rights because Australia was declared terra nullius, or we can say that land belonging to no one. At the
See, and that's another crazy thing, about Australia and New Zealand and everything that's going on in that area. I've been learning a lot about, the terrain and the cultures that inhabited those areas, and it's a crazy story. And I mean, and if you know more, of course, you guys are gonna know more because you guys live there, and you guys are living it every day. If you know more, put it in the comments. What you see going on, and how does it feel, being over there in those lands, meaning Australia and New Zealand.
time of the European settlement in 1888, it took until 1967 for Australian Aboriginals to be counted in the national census and given the right to vote by changing S51 and S127 of the Australian Constitutional.
Yeah, I can't lie. That is the coolest thing, right now that I see that y'all do. Haka and tattoo. The tattoos, man, monstrous, dude. Like, that's amazing. You know what I mean? If somebody in America seeing that, like, see you walking on the street looking like that, I'm pretty sure they'd probably walk across the street because they wouldn't have no idea what it is. And they wouldn't realize how much of a respect it is, a respectful thing to do. You know what I mean? To have that, to be a part of something, it's beautiful.
So while New Zealand Maori have full and equal citizenship in their country in the 1840, the Australian Aboriginal need to wait a further 127 years to be granted the same status. This fact alone explains why the New Zealand Maori has been far better treated than the Australian Aboriginals.
They were both discriminated. Both the Aboriginals and the Maori people were treated poorly in early years, and some still face discrimination today. When European settlers arrived in Australia, they wanted to eliminate the Aboriginal race. They looked down.
Okay, see, so music Matt said that the Maori history is better learned from the Maori. From the Maori, most other learn from what they are told by researchers and historians. He said that they learn from the tupuna. What is the tupuna? Please explain it to me because I don't know exactly what the tupuna is. Is it like the what I would call it, the grandmother or the ancestor that knows everything about the culture?
Upon half-castes and attempt to raise them to be servants, as seen in rabbit-proof fence. Similarly, when the Maori moved to New Zealand cities to seek out work, education, and adventure, they struggled to achieve their goals as a result of discrimination from European New Zealanders. They were often overrepresented in employment.
And see, okay, see, that's what I thought. Tupuna is a word for ancestors, and that's what I thought as well in my head. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Music Mad. That's what I thought in my head as well. That that was the ancestors, and that's just, and you know what? That goes far with a lot of cultures, a lot of cultures. I learned more about my Jamaican history from my grandmother, my great grandmother, God bless their souls, than I did in any textbook. Honestly, you know what I mean. Um, and you know what? Most original cultures that I see, original cultures, you know what I mean. You can't really find their information in a textbook. You know what I mean? Because it's all washed. You know. Usually, if I want to learn some more information, some real things that you're not gonna hear about in a book, you have to sit down, learn their culture, become in tune to what they're trying to tell you, right? And find the ancestors and be invited in and let them share what they know with you, and don't be biased against it. Don't just learn. And I mean, I mean, a lot of people, it's going to be hard for them to do that, but I really feel that's the best way to learn about somebody's cultures, from the ancestors, people who know, because most of the original cultures were passed down through generations. You know what I mean? They see what's going on, they see the bad, and they remember the good, and they try to live off the good more than the bad. You know what I mean? And keep away the bad as much as possible, which is dope. Joseph said that our Tipuna fought hard for so-called equal rights, but the effects of colonization is still deep in society, of course. And colonization, it runs everywhere. It runs everywhere. If I could show you what it did to Jamaica right now, what it's doing to Jamaica right now, and where it's doing all over the world, you know what I mean? It's crazy. I'm not saying what people shouldn't colonize or whatever, but you know it's a tough pill to swallow when you first see it take place. But I am definitely gonna watch that video. I'm gonna definitely watch that video and see what's going on with that one, though.
Hospitals and prisons. Despite their struggles, the Maori stood up for their rights. Both indigenous people have a strong spiritual belief. Both groups place a strong emphasis on spirituality, nature, and their ancestors. Aboriginals believe in the power of oral tradition and storytelling from one generation to the next. Similarly, ancestors of the Maori speak through Taonga to pass down values and beliefs. The power of Taonga is reinforced.
Wow, that's crazy. She looks just like the lady that was. I don't know if you guys watched it with me, but we watched Once Were Warriors, and that was the mother, who got beat up, unfortunately. But she looks just like her. It's just crazy. Again, the tattoo is dope. Shout out to this guy. That tattoo is where it's at, bro.
By stories about its origin and history. Differences. They have different origin. While Maori are believed to came to New Zealand from Polynesian island in the Pacific on their great wagas, the Aborigines are believed to came from Asian country before ended up in Australia. 2. They have different belief of their origin. The Aborigines did not know the origin of their own ancestor. They believed that they came to the world as a product of the sun's life-giving power.
Now, see, here again, you see that the power of the sun. You know, I really feel like before uh, religion came into place, which again isn't a bad thing, most um, original people all thought of the sun as the number one provider, right? And yes, everybody in here, I know we can all listen to Bob Marley all day. All right, Music Man, you're not the only person. Welcome to the channel, Player One. But that right there was a common holder of cultures was the sun. I see that through most original cultures, Aztecs, Mayans, Kemets, the Kemetics, aboriginals, maori, and other cultures that I'm still finding the many more. And we're gonna watch those. I'm gonna be doing a lot more. So don't just come in here only for one culture. All right, we're gonna learn about other cultures in here as well, and we're gonna find out. I'm telling you, that you guys are really, really no different than everybody else, but you guys are still different. If you understand what I'm saying, you guys have a certain culture, a beautiful culture at that. What I mean, that shares a lot of commonalities with other cultures, and it's beautiful. And that's what I continue to see with many of the cultures, many of the original cultures that I don't see in a lot of colonized cultures, right? Welcome to the chat, Tama. Welcome to the stream. Let's go, though.
While Maori believe that they came to New Zealand on boat. 3. They have different belief. Aboriginal culture, deities don't have one role, but rather fulfill a variety of roles, and are categorized as creation beings, ancestral beings, and totemic beings. Maoris, on the other hand, believe all natural elements and living things are connected by a common genealogy. Maori folklore describes the creation of mankind from the violent separation of the original couple. Their puberty ritual, Maori Mogo ritual, is to give the man or women that is come to age their first tattoo. But Aboriginal walkabout ritual is to send out only male adolescents to go on a walkabout across the vast land aimlessly, with only the purpose to connect to the spirit, and can last up to 6 months.
Present. Aborigines. Recent government statistics counted the remain approximately 400,000 of Aboriginal people, or about 2% of Australia's total population. Land rights movement.
See, when I look at her, bro, I see a common cousin of somebody that would be in like East Africa and also in Hawaii, right? Like I that's why I see that. It's like I'm not looking at anything different. It's just crazy. It's just like I want to know where it all began. If, like when I look at the map and I think everybody sees the same thing. I see that it looks like one big landmass that was just broken off, which everybody knows that's what, Utopia or Mesopotamia. But I mean, It's amazing to see people, bro, and you just see the common ground between all of us, right?
Result of forced assimilation. By the late 1880s, most Aborigines had joined white rural and urban communities. Aboriginal people became economically marginalized and were exposed to the disease. The consequence was massive depopulation and extinction for some Aboriginal tribes. Land and property rights fueled an important civil rights movement in the 1970s. Aborigines spoke out for equal rights, and specifically for land rights for property that has been forcibly taken by British. The Aboriginal Land Rights Act, passed in the 1976, became instrumental in territories with tribal association. The 1990s witnesses further rights milestones, including government legislation that returned a great degree of autonomy and increased wages and welfare benefits to the Aboriginal people.
I'm Aboriginal and I love my culture.
My culture is alive everywhere I go,
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
and I would not have it any other way.
Maori. Today, only 9.2% of the New Zealand population are Maori, and 95% of them live in the Northern Island. Maori tourism is a growing industry throughout New Zealand, with large influences the North Island. In Rotorua, you can visit a unique Maori village and try Maori food, or kai, cooked underground on hot stones, known as
See, right now we do that right now in Jamaica. Like, if I go to my mother's house right now, like, okay, I'm gonna give you an example. When the hurricane came, it was a bad hurricane. You know what I mean? It came and it tore up everything. Lights were out. Nobody could get any food or anything like that. It was so bad that the army had to come in and actually give us like little food packets or whatever. But my mom, we ate it one time and it made both of our stomachs hurt, and we were like, you know what I mean? So she took what little money she had left and she bought I'm talking about a big box of chicken, right? And we used to grow peas and everything like that. Luckily, before the hurricane came, it was harvest time, so we had all that stuff packed in our pantry, potatoes and stuff like that. So we were good in the house, you know. Because if you don't know how to farm or plant, honestly and truthfully, you're giving away a very special talent that you have. Anyway, so we would cook our food outside the same way. She dug a hole. And she put the wood inside, and we would light it, and we would have a pot. You know what I mean? It can outstand the heat the same way. Like this, I love that pot because that pot was it. You know what I mean? She cooked everything in it, the potatoes, chicken, everything. You know what I mean? And it was we basically just went back to living without needing all of that electricity and everything like that. And it was like that for about 2 weeks. I had to wash my clothes outside with my hands, and I was still going to school at this time, so you know, it felt natural. But the only bad thing about it is like waking up early in the morning, 5, 4 in the morning, having to have to get dressed in the dark or take a shower in the dark. But hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? We had it was difficult, but it was still a learning process, and that's what makes me makes me humble when it comes down to some situations and people as well. You know what I mean? Because when you realize and you have to do something like that, man, you have to be this kind of humble person. It brings you down off a pedestal, right? So I mean, it was just a story, but it was definitely life changing for me. And hanji, what is hanji? Is that what's okay? That's the food right there. That's hanji. What exactly is in hanji? Y'all let me know.
hangi.
Oh, excuse me, hangi.
You can watch traditional dances, visit the local Maori, and much more. The number of Maori population is increasing and their culture is being brought back. Today, Maori songs, dance, traditional carving, and the Maori language are being taught in the New Zealand schools. The Maori language is an official language like English today, but only a few Maori that master the Maori language as a first language today. It has been also improvement in the Maori legal and social status in the past year. In 1975, they got back a lot of the right they were formerly promised in the 1840. And in 1985, a number of Maori tribes received a financial reparation for having unfairly lost their lands after pressure by the Maori elders. In 1995, the New Zealand government offered to establish a 1 billion New Zealand dollar fund up to make for the loss of the lands, but it was rejected. And accused of being poorly, it provoked many young Maori elites to tread on trampling of New Zealand flag. In 1996, the government took a big step and apologized to a Maori tribe for taking their lands and for hanging their ship for 131 years earlier. The Maori are also known as a very talented and hard-working people. They are the best teachers, the best farmers, and also the best mechanics. Many white from New Zealand claims to have more Maori blood than they actually have. But the Maori still have problems with the racial discrimination. Within the system and among the people, the Maori situations have been improved. But there is a still big difference in culture and there can always cause conflicts.
Alright, so that's the ending of that video, but I learned a lot regarding the cultures. And it is amazing to see such commonalities between your cultures and my culture. It's amazing. I can't. It's just it makes you just want to go to New Zealand and actually find more info. You know what I mean? And honestly and truthfully, I am eventually. You guys are probably going to be the first place other than Jamaica that I go to. So definitely. I'm gonna make it a reality that I come and see New Zealand. Again, this was just a short vid. You know what I mean? I just wanted to come in here and chit chat with you guys. Music Man said, "What isn't in Hungy? Meat, potatoes, kamara, vegetables." Okay. That's dope. You know what I mean? It's a mixture of everything in there. Okay, that's dope. But I just want to come in here and share this info. You know what I mean, and talk a little bit. This is probably my first long stream ever, and I definitely want to thank you guys for coming in as well and watching the video with me and learning a little bit with me as well. Hopefully, later on in time, I can actually get people on the stream to actually talk about the Maori culture, excuse me, live on the stream. And if you have somebody that can do that, or if you want to do that, you know what I mean, we can set that up and have a good conversation regarding cultures. So, hey, again, everybody, I appreciate y'all coming in. And Shabar refuse to shoot. And remember, make sure you call somebody you love, telling you love them, because you never know when you're gone. All right. And with that being said, I'm out of here. You guys take care.